person I'm introducing knows about the public health effects of this problem as well as of heat. He's someone who has served as health director in the city of Milford for some time, and Dennis McBride has helped the Milford community plan and respond to extreme weather, including most recently Superstorm Sandy. Dennis?
I want to thank both senators, Murphy and Blumenthal, who have led a very important aspect of something that we all have to come to grips with. As Senator Murphy pointed out, that the climate has already changed. You might want to give an analogy is that somebody has already turned the thermostat up, and now the house is kind of warming up. When the thermostat's first turned up, it's not doesn't work that well, but then after a while, we talk about those two things in the climate change arena by mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation is going at preventive aspects, cut your carbon down, cut your greenhouse gases down, and those kinds of things. Those are preventive measures. The other measure is adaptation. Climate has already changed, and we have to adapt and react to it. In public health, local public health is involved in both of these, and our local public health is involved in both of these very actively and not very passively. It's not happening in another country, it's happening right here in Connecticut. When we talk about mitigation, we talk about those win-win scenarios. We use our cars less, we walk more, we're healthier for walking, and those kinds of things. We help with the atmosphere in terms of pollution. We also help those who have respiratory problems, and asthma, heart disease, and things of that sort. But then we have the other aspect of it that is involved in adaptation. That is, the climate has already changed. And I think you'd be careful to listen to the speakers here, because we have implied that this heat we're in right now, Sandy, Irene, and those kinds of situations can be climate change events. And no one is saying 100%. It is not beyond the shadow of doubt. People are concerned about the shadow of doubt. We said we don't go beyond. Well, science doesn't work that way. Science works on doubt. Einstein says there's nothing faster than the speed of light. A scientist says, I doubt that, and you go ahead and prove it. But there's nothing in science that says it is without doubt. That's what we have. So we have to, in our practice of public health, we have to deal with those things that we're confronted with. And we have been confronted with the climate change scenario, which is, the rest of science says, in the northern hemisphere, it's going to be climatic changes. It's going to be exaggerated changes. It's going to be heat waves as well as cold waves. It's going to be snowstorms and not. It's going to be wind events that might be considered hurricanes and might be considered cyclones. There's going to be other events like forest fires and the like. Local public health has to react to that and has. So just as an example, if we look at both Irene and Sandy in our community. I've been in Connecticut for a long time, and we used to say, we had to have these shelters. We all had these shelter plans, and we'd open up these shelters, and nobody came. It was like nobody came to the shelters. We would open them years back, when we were talking back in Stanford and the like. But the past few years, you open a shelter, they're coming. It's not the people are coming to the shelters because they have to. Our hospitals have been overwhelmed by people seeking sources of energy. We have people whose medical care has been disrupted, and that's one of the things that has been overlooked in terms of this whole scenario. We know that communicable diseases, the vectors and mosquitoes and birds might be changing their environment, but our community is the change in the medical system. People on dialysis unit, all of a sudden dialysis units are not there anymore, they don't have power. As the previous speaker talked about, we talked about elderly people who are in homes that might as well be in the middle of the desert somewhere because of the heat situation people are putting in. The other aspect of it is people seeking out energy for the oxygen units, returning from that sort. And another thing that happened that was really opened my eyes in terms of, I think this happened during Irene, was the actual disruption of the pharmacy. Don't expect the pharmacies when there's no power to function. So people who are dependent on their medications, again, disrupted. So I could go on and on in terms of what local public health has done, and every health director, the 60-something health directors in our state could give some good stories about what's happening locally. And locally, you have to remember that local people still are dependent on your health department, your local health department to function. But I just want to end on a positive note in terms of this. I guess it was a Chinese it might be cliche now when they talk about crisis being both danger and opportunity. And we are in a very dangerous situation, but there are opportunities. And I think the opportunities for us to respond not only for the energy, finding alternative energies, but planning, organizing communities, building buildings and things of that sort, and educating the people. I'll say one more last thing. And I want to, this probably won't get on TV and all that because I'm going to talk about you guys in the media.
Then you go ahead and write.
I think that we are really, all of the experts and leaders are dependent on you. We're really dependent on you, not only to objectively report out what is said, which I think is going to happen, but you have to get the message, the underlying message through. When a weather person yesterday said it's going to be another beautiful sunny day, which I've heard, I think we have to look at the media to help us put the message across to the community and to our people. So I thank you.